Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fire Friday, my favorite day of the week because I get to meet with some of my favorite industry friends, inspiring people, and just people that I am just so grateful that are in my life. And today is no different. Caroline Gosselin, thank you so much for being here today on Fire Friday.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so I got to kind of brag on you. Obviously, we've known each other for quite some time in the industry. We met through Curator and just through the industry, conferences. Had a lot of respect for each other, and low key, I've always admired your work, and just was impressed with your professionalism, your poise, what you built out in New Jersey. And then just over the last year, we've been able to become friends and just work together and collaborate. So I've gotten a sneak peek behind the scenes of your world. You're more than just an amazing team leader. You're running the Experience New Jersey team now, and you've definitely built what I would consider, you went from a one-man show to a very reputable team that is just prestigious in my eyes. You are able to work with very high net worth clients and just build this quality business, right? That people can trust. But you're more than that. You're a mother, you're a friend, you're just a beautiful, strong woman, right? That faces the challenges of entrepreneurship, right? It's not easy to build what you have built. Tell us, the world, a little bit about you, a little bit more about you before we dive deep into your business and what you want the world to know. You're more than just real estate, right? Who are you and what's your passion?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we all are, right? I think we're all more than just real estate, which makes our industry so interesting because everybody has a great backstory and brings in so much from their past life. But yeah, I mean, I had the Experience New Jersey team. I've been in New Jersey for the past 15 years, but I'm not your typical Jersey girl. I'm actually
Oh, wait. I found out that you're not from Jersey because we were in the place that you are actually from. And you mentioned you were going to go somewhere and you said, I grew up here. And I'm like, wait, what? You're not from Jersey. Where are you from?
Yeah, so I grew up in Texas, and I'm not your typical Texas girl either, because my parents are both French, but they ended up in the States. When they were younger, they got married, and I happened to be born in Houston, Texas, which is where I grew up, and then went to college at the University of Texas in Austin, and then spent 3 years working for a company there. So, Texas is really part of my, just my roots, really. And I know you and I went to Jenna Turner's event in Houston recently, and it was just so nice to kind of, take a drive down memory lane and see some old friends. But I'm in Jersey now, and have been. I actually moved here with my husband. We were kind of young professionals in New York City, decided to have a baby, moved out to the burbs, ended up in New Jersey. And I got my license a year later, and I've been doing real estate full time ever since. So,
Wow. So tell us, so you had a baby. Tell us a little bit about Lucas.
yeah, so Lucas is no longer a baby. He's about to be 15. He's a freshman in high school, which, still baffles me. Um, he's a good kid. He actually, he goes to Texas every once in a while to see his grandparents on his dad's side. He goes to France to see, our family on my side. So he's kind of a jet setter in his own little right. He travels more than I do. Uh,
Wow.
but yeah, so hopefully you'll get to meet him one of these days.
Yes, I love talking about him. Before we kind of dive deep into your business, right? Let's talk a little bit about something that I feel is really near and dear to my heart. Being an entrepreneurial mom and raising, kids. What were the struggles with, and did you have those struggles? Because I struggled with mom shame. I struggled with maybe me not being as present as I wanted to be, or the society expected a mom to be, because I was building a business as a necessity. It was, I think, my calling as well. Were there struggles raising a child while you're also building a real estate business?
For sure. I mean, I was divorced before my son was even one. So I was a single mom in New Jersey. I didn't know anybody when we moved to New Jersey, like literally started my life over when we moved here. And just kind of had to rebuild my whole, circle of friends. But yeah, I mean, I have to say the community where I landed, which is Maplewood, New Jersey, was amazing. I joined the local chamber. I created a chapter of this women's networking group, which turned out to be one of the most amazing support network of women that I have in my life to this day. I joined the Rotary Club and made some really close friends through that. That literally were like family to me and Lucas. So yeah, kind of had to rebuild my life. Once Lucas was 7 years old, my parents actually decided to move to New Jersey to help me out. My business was really kind of taken off, and they could just see that I was struggling, like trying to do it all. And so I have to say, like a lot of what I've been able to accomplish in the past 7 years, really I owe to my mom, because she really is like a surrogate mom to my son. And do I have mom guilt for that a little bit? Sure, but my son is really surrounded by people who love him. He's got grandmother on his dad's side. His father's very involved in his life, and so we do what we can, right? We can't have regrets.
It's for me, it's like I look back and I'm so grateful for the journey. And you represent that as well. And when we're talking and we hear the word, the journey that we're on, you said this is a quest, right? And I think that word represents something very special to us. Take us down that road of this quest and what you're, on a
Yeah.
quest to find.
Yeah, so Quest, I actually am launching a new community this year for my colleagues and I. It's called In Quest of Better. And, it kind of just stems from the fact that the past 15 years, and quite frankly, I'm sure the next 15 years, we're all on a quest here to kind of figure out what our mission is, what our purpose is, what we're about, what we love, breaking free from, any constraints that have been imposed on us or that we've imposed on ourselves. So for me, it's like this entrepreneurial journey has definitely been a quest, and it's had its ups and downs. I really would not trade any of them in. I think everything that happened in the past, in the past has been part of my journey and has kind of forged me. Um, but on this quest, I've met amazing people, you included. It's no secret that I owe a lot to you, Veronica. Like, not to like start crying at like 8:30 in the morning here, but on this journey and through some of the ecosystems that you and I are both in, whether it's the curator community or the John Shepplatt coaching community, our industry in general, has some really amazing people in it. And, you by far have been very, you know, instrumental in kind of waking me up and kind of paving the way for what's possible, personally and professionally, quite frankly. We met, I think, like 7 years ago, but uh, I, really got to know you very intimately and personally about a year ago, and you've been a great mentor, and you've kind of helped me, kind of break free from kind of what of the thoughts and the plans that I had created for myself that just weren't as big as they could have been, and kind of thinking outside of the box. So so thank you, because I feel like this year is kind of a new year for me, and you've kind of helped me kind of reimagine what my business can look like. And I'm excited. I'm actually meeting with a young woman in about an hour who works at a traditional brokerage. She's been licensed since November, and she just feels like something's missing. And I can't wait to kind of take the inspiration that you poured into me and pour that into her and let her know that there is a better way, and kind of take her under my wing and help
You know,
forge her.
it's funny. We go to these conferences and we're thinking, like, all right, what do I have to do next on my business? And I used to be the person that I'd go to a conference, I'd buy everything, I'd come back with all these shiny objects, I'd drive my team crazy. And it wasn't until like a few years ago that I said, I'm not buying anything else. Like, I'm not buying anything else. I'm going to dive deep. I'm going to really, really figure out why I have a lid on my business. And you mentioned John Cheplack community. That changed my life. It took time. It took time, but I was guarded. I was defensive. I thought it was me against the world at one point in my world, in my business. And I thought I had to be tough. I thought I had to be this firecracker that just, get out of my way because I'm going to bulldozer you. And I was not happy, but I was still very competitive, and I always knew I had to provide. And I started realizing that the little girl in me went through a lot through this professional development and leadership development that I went through. And I don't even know how that happened. I think it was just God's way of just coming down and saying, like, I need to help you. I need to put you in the right rooms. And when I go into and I look at my business now and the rooms that I've gone into in the last 2 to 3 years, you know it has all been growth from within. It has all been, facing the truth, the hard truth of leadership. Leadership is not a straight line. It's not, okay, what do I do next? There's this journey. And like you said, this quest. And I have had to make turns. I have had to look within. I have had to make decisions that are tough. And it's crazy because someone that I love that we don't really talk much, but I'll give her credit for this. She said to me, vulnerability is beautiful. And I used to think vulnerability was weakness. And when I stepped into that space in my life, that I said, look, Veronica, like, who are you battling? And I was battling myself. I didn't realize that. I was conflicted within as to who I was. And it wasn't until I got into that circle that you mentioned. And I'm so grateful that you are also in that circle. And, the conversations are different. The conversations are different. Yes, we talk business. We talk about our people. We want to grow our people. We love our people, right? But before we can do that, we got to love ourselves. We have to figure out what's in the way within us. And then the biggest thing is that aha moment when we're like, I realized that I was the issue. I was the issue here. I was guarded here. I wasn't letting people in, or I was in the way because I was overthinking this analysis paralysis, and then I said, okay, Veronica, I'm ready to really work on me. And then everything else just changed. Everything else just started showing up when I started believing in me and loving me and knowing that it's okay that leadership is not, checking the boxes. It's
Right.
a journey, and your people, here's the real cool thing is that when you start working on you and the people around you get inspired to work on them.
Yeah.
That was my breaking point. That's where really things started to shift. So, and I've seen that in you when you've had, like between the books you're reading, you climbed a mountain, which was very monumental for you. You did the summit out in Mount Talak. Like, what was that like? And what were you searching for when you went through that, knowing that certain things, let's say, were falling apart back home?
Right. Yeah. What was I searching for? Well, I guess I knew that I was searching for something. I just didn't know what it was because I didn't slow down enough to really kind of take stock. My business was going 100 miles an hour as a team leader for a team of 7. But I think there was something in me that just knew that there was more. There was a different way. There was just something that I needed to kind of break through. And when I heard that you guys were going back to Lake Tahoe to climb that mountain, I was like, I am in. So, I went there just open minded, really. I wanted to kind of be inspired and the amazing people on that mountain. I mean, I still replay some of the conversations that I had with like Ibrahim and Gasti Gulas, and like climbing up that mountain and having all these conversations with amazing people who are themselves on this entrepreneurial journey was amazing. And I came back and I realized that I just wanted and needed to make some changes. And some of those changes came a little sooner than I wanted, but it was all for the best. And now our team has moved from a traditional brokerage to a more progressive brokerage. We're really reimagining everything, and it's kind of like some fresh air has been breathed into us, and we're rebuilding. But I think you're right. Like it all comes from inside. Like I'm reading a book right now. We're big book readers, you and I, called Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach.
I heard
Um,
about that.
and she speaks so many truth in that book. I'm not finished with it yet, but in like a third of the way through. But I've already had a lot of kind of aha moments. And I think that, she talks about how a lot of the limitations that we are butting up against, are self-imposed.
Yep.
And it just all comes with kind of, radical acceptance of yourself, letting go of the judgment, letting go of the fear, and just doing what your gut knows is right.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm trying to kind of break free of some old patterns, and just starting this year off fresh, and excited to do so.
It's so funny. I mean, I think this can apply to anyone who's watching, right? So whether you're an agent, entry level, or you're struggling, maybe you're feeling stuck, even reading that book, when you start looking at some of the judgment that we have for ourselves, whether maybe I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough experience, or I need to wait until I am, I've reached this level to accomplish this. What are people going to say of me? Why would someone want to do business with me if I'm not experienced? These words, and like, no matter where you're at in your business. So because we have people who watch this who are entry level and experienced, I want you to think about what that book can do for you when you can really learn to overcome that, those that voice in your head that tells you no one's going to list with you, no one's going to buy with you, you're not good enough, why would someone join your team, all these things come into play. It's where you have to have the self-discipline to remind yourself that is not true.
Right.
I am more than what that voice is telling me in my head. And that's going to give you the strength and the courage to pick up that phone and make that call, set that appointment, set that lunch meeting with that person that you absolutely know you need to meet with. Whether you go in there with fear and you have to shake yourself off before you go in there, but like, overcoming that is so powerful. And in any part of your journey, especially as a real estate agent, because the voice it's just telling you different things, but it's trying to accomplish the same thing, like to make you believe that you don't belong, or you don't deserve this. And you have to reprogram yourself no matter where you're at. So I would say definitely get the book, guys. And no matter what phase you are in your life, in your business, we're all struggling with that, but we can shift that when you start reminding yourself you are amazing, you are a badass. It's okay if things don't work out the way it's supposed to work out at first. Things will fall into place. You said something about something happening to you before you wanted it. Maybe not, it wasn't aligned with your timing, right? Because sometimes we put things out into the world, and the universe and the world it's gonna show up for us when the world wants it to show up for us, not
Right.
when we are. So it's important to also understand that surrendering is part of this journey. When these things happen to us, we have to say, okay, this is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And, I'm going to say something that might not sound politically correct. Please forgive me, but I used to always say, I'm going to put my big girl panties on, and we're just going to face this. And we're going to go in there, and we're going to show up, and we're going to face what's happening. And we're going to look at it right in the face. We're going to confront it. We're going to deal with this. And whatever happens because it was supposed to happen. And I remember when someone told me to surrender, I had no idea what surrendering meant, because I had never surrendered because I was a control freak.
Yeah.
And
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, these things don't happen to me because I decide what happens to me. And it was the power of surrendering for me that was like life changing. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what surrendering means. Okay, this is what it's happening for me instead of to me means. Okay. And then things just started to change. And it was just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then I started being open about it. And when I started being open about it, people were like, wait, you're human? Wait, you go through that too? Wait, you struggle with this too? And it was just, you found that tribe who you were looking for. You're like, I see you in me. We see each other. And I think that's what happened with us. Like, we saw each other, right? We're powerful women. We're expected to be on stage. We're expected to always convert, and have it all together. And then when we were able to see, like, it's a shit show back here sometimes, it was like, girl, I'm glad you said that because I was dealing with that too. So the power of surrendering is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and also surrounding yourself with people who are going to help you reframe what just happened to you. I mean, when there's actually this quote in the book. It says, "Like a boundless sea, we have the capacity to embrace the waves of life as they move through us."
Mm.
And when I read that in Tara Brock's book, it made me think about how, when I had my recent, kind of big change in my life, and I called you, and I was like, Veronica, my ship is capsizing. Like, I'm gonna drown. Like, it was not a good moment. I really was lost and scared. And you were like the captain of the ship, and you were like, Caroline, let's set the sails. Let's call Jenna. Let's get, and we created this little team to kind of reframe and pivot. And I will forever be thankful to you and your team for the support that you showed me in like one of the hardest days of my life. But I think I grew stronger from it, and our friendship grew stronger from it. I think my team, is going to grow stronger from it. So yeah, I think that we just need to surround ourselves with good peeps. And, this community of Fire Friday and the community around you is just full of amazing people, and your team, Patricia and ECs and, Jenny, like they're all amazing people, and you truly are an inspiration. And I'm glad that you're doing this show because Jenna and I watch it every Friday. I was at a conference recently. We were driving all in the car to the airport, and I was like, let's put Fire Friday on. Veronica's live.
It's so funny. This started during the pandemic, and it started, when I was like, what do I do? People were calling me. I don't have the answers. I just want to be there for, my friends and people and myself. This was actually therapeutic for me because I was bringing people on, and I was like, how are you doing? Like, and how would we navigate through this? And, then from there, it just turned into something beautiful. Again, I surrendered. I didn't expect this was actually done for my team. We used to do Zooms behind the curtains. And then I said, so many good people were coming in and inspiring my team. And, I said, well, let's share this with the world of, our little world that we have. And it just turned into something. And 2 years later, Fire Friday has just turned into, a part of our world, a part of our culture, and our friends have been a part of it. And thank you for blessing us because your story is going to bless someone else. I can't tell you how many times someone says, thank you so much for Fire Friday. And people have connected because they met through Fire Friday. Someone either started following them or said their story inspired them. I'd love for you to kind of tell the story because I was reading kind of what we were going back and forth of the story, like Mahoney, humans, and the tiger story, and how that is such a beautiful metaphor that can maybe help people who have a limited belief or are trying to make change happen in their world. Can you take us down that road?
Sure, yeah. So I'm not a really good storyteller, so I encourage you to pick up the book Radical Acceptance and read the chapter. But in this book, Tara Brock talks about, it could be a fictional story. I mean, it's a metaphor. I don't know if it's a true story, but it is very representative of what I think happens to a lot of people in our industry. But so Mahoney is a white tiger who was, I think, gifted to the United States when she was a baby from Africa, from a country in Africa, and she was at a national zoo, and she was in this like 12 by 12 cage, iron bars, concrete floors, well fed, well taken care of, but basically living the zoo life. And like 12 years in, her zookeepers decided, or they got a grant, and they created this like 2 acre kind of nature preserve for her with like a little pond and vegetation and all of this. And when they let her loose into it, she just was so used to her little cage, that she basically just kind of spent the rest of her life in a little corner of the preserve where she had kind of gone in circles, and kind of the grass had gone bare, and she just kind of stayed there. And um, when I was reading that, I
Beautiful
was,
reserve to navigate through and just
yeah,
wouldn't.
I mean, there was a whole world to discover, and she didn't know because she was so ingrained in her way, and just had these blinders on, and she kind of like lived life in a 12 by 12, space, even though the iron bars were gone. So I don't know, it was sad. Like, it's a sad story when you think about, zoo animals and kind of what they go through. But it made me think about kind of in real estate, like, a lot of the traditional brokerages, I mean, I think that they attract people who kind of like the model. They feel like, oh, okay, I'll do that, and it'll lead to this.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is kind of being spoon fed, and traditional brokerages don't necessarily engender your entrepreneurial spirit. I think they kind of try to tamp it down. It's like, whoa there, cowboy. Don't go too far.
This
Don't
is
think
how it's always been done. They,
right,
brainwashing of like, just stay in your lane, make your calls, just sell a house.
right,
There's just that limited belief that we're supposed to operate within these rails, guardrails that we're given, right? And
yeah,
I love the metaphor. There is a whole world out there that a lot of people aren't willing to see because they've just been wired a specific way.
right,
And I love the analogy of how you brought those two worlds together. And there are a lot of people who are living in a 12 by 12 cage and they don't know how to get out and they don't realize that the door is unlocked and all they
yeah,
have to do is just unlock it and open it and
right.
step into this new opportunity and explore what is out there for them and try to look at what's around them and the scenery. And you're like, wow, this is real. And just like the tiger, the preserve was there. There were no rails, but he was wired to believe this. And it's so sad how many people are wired to stay stuck.
Yeah, and it reminds me actually of something that you told me when I, was thinking of making the leap from my traditional brokerage recently. You said, "Look, Caroline, and you don't mince words, like you don't sugarcoat stuff, which is what I love about you." And you were like, being a pioneer comes with risks. Like you have to take risks.
Yeah.
And I had been afraid to take risks, because I was comfortable. I mean, I, had my best year last year. My team was, we were, at a nice luxury brand doing good business. But you were like, if you want to be a pioneer, this is what you need to do. And so, I left to be able to bring, the EXP brand actually to New Jersey. And so we are rebranding our entire team name. And our goal this year is to really grow the brand in New Jersey, let people know that there's a different way of doing real estate. And I'm excited. I'm excited, and it's just it's really just different.
What
Different.
is interesting is I hear you speaking and I've seen your journey and I know some of the fears that you were going through because I had an inside peek of your world. How refreshing was it when you met other people like Peter Liu, Nikki Klein, other people that you're like, wait, we're so similar in so many ways. And, like where you realize I'm not alone in this, right?
Right.
So in the moment, we think we're alone. And then when we meet people that exist in we didn't know they existed, and you're like, I found people that are just like me.
Right.
How has that other side been of these people that you have met? And what are some of the similarities, some of the traits that you're seeing that these very, I would say, positive, upbeat, like-minded individuals have? And they also have fears and they face it. But what have you been able to discover within that community, even of newbies that are also in the same, I would say, path or quest?
I mean, it's funny because like the word woke has such a bad connotation, like people are like, oh, they make fun of being woke. But it's kind of, I guess the word is more like empowered. I think that there's like a whole other breed of realtors that are empowered and want to kind of, who take responsibility for their career, their business, and their clients in a whole different way. It's not just a job, it's literally a mission. You know, Peter, I mean, the way he talks about his clients, Nikki Klein, I mean, there are so many people across this country and actually the world. Like I was just on LinkedIn this morning. I have a friend who is with EXP in France, and we've been kind of chatting back and forth. And he's kind of growing and bringing the brand to Europe. And
So fun.
it's refreshing because I also see him like he's empowered. He wants to do it differently. He wants to do it a different way. So I think, I think it's just people who are not afraid to take risk. And once you do kind of breach that boundary, it's like, oh, it wasn't that risky after all. Like, there's other people here doing this, and it's working, and it's like, and it's beautiful, and I just feel like, yeah, I found my tribe. Um, And
It's so funny when you guys all connected and you're like, hey, we're gonna go to this luxury thing because we're gonna change the we're gonna change the narrative where they say EXP doesn't have luxury, right? And you came from Sotheby's, a very obvious prominent brand. Peter is from Sotheby's. Nikki is from Keller Williams, but in Boca where there's high net worth Jupiter. And you guys were like, yeah, we're gonna change the landscape of this. And you got hopped on a plane, all of you, without even knowing each other, met at the airport, built a relationship, walk into this room and say, we're here to change the game. We're here to be the pioneers to say luxury is here to stay. Luxury is going to grow. And if anybody's going to grow it, it's us with all these other leaders. And you literally took this. Naturally, I'm assuming you're not that spontaneous, or maybe there was some fear in the past, because I think we all have that fear of like, do I belong in this room? I don't know anyone. And you guys packed your bags, met up, you're on a road trip, and you're saying, we are going to change the landscape of luxury globally, and we're going to do so together because we have how bold, how amazing is that you guys did that. Like, I'm just so
it was awesome. It was awesome. And what's funny is that, while we were at that 2-day conference, I think we all kind of either listed or sold or put under contract like 5 million worth of real estate between the 5 of us.
Wow.
So it's just like, the narrative that EXP can't represent luxury is completely false. And, one of my agents actually just listed a $1.6 million house, brand new agent. It's her first listing. And, so just really, really excited the future here and, what's to come. And, I'm actually, a lot of this journey, I'd like to kind of share a lot of what I've learned along the way. And so you, my friend, have already RSVP'd as one of my keynote speakers, but I did want people to know, and I'll be putting out, the information and creating a website for the event. But in the fall on November 12th, which is a Saturday, I'm doing a full day conference in New Jersey.
Relaunch Live Jersey.
Yep, New Jersey. And so I'm gonna, I don't think that New Jersey has really ever had like an amazing conference. So I'm gonna kind of create like a little mini Inman. I'm gonna bring the best of the best, you included. John Sheplack is gonna be one of the keynotes. Jeff Lobb has, I've reached out to him. I hope he'll say yes, right, Jeff? He'll say yes. And I've got so many other ideas and people for panels, and we're just going to have an amazing event with like a networking breakfast, full day of speakers and panels, a lunch, dinner at the rooftop at the Short Hills Hilton, which is being completely renovated right now. So lots of good stuff coming down the pipe, and you were the impetus for a lot of it, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I'm so excited about, what you're building in Jersey, what you're building nationally, what you're going to do for the global luxury brand, your mission to really go help people believe in themselves and, own their truth and own their badassness and, just step into the uncomfortable, right? You guys, if you're not following Caroline, please go and follow her. She's amazing. She's on Instagram, Facebook. She's a darling leader, and can help so many agents grow their business. If you're just wanting to break into luxury or just up your, price point, she's someone that can share some of the best practices, tips, because we all started somewhere, right? That we all went on that first luxury listing once, right? So please follow her. She's amazing. As you can tell, she's someone who's, in my opinion, woke, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm so proud of seeing you step out of your comfort zone and just come to life and breathe life into other people's lives, and step into just this beautiful quest of becoming the best version of you. I can't wait to your show too. I know that that's definitely kicking off as well.
It works. Yeah.
Guests you're going to have. I'm grateful for you, and I will be making sure that my part in promoting Relaunch Live New Jersey is loud and proud, because to know that you guys even believe in that brand and have seen it bring value is amazing. Love you, girl. I am such a fan. We've got to run. Thank you again you understood the assignment. And the assignment here is bringing value to people, sharing your story, inspiring people, and letting them know that they're amazing. Thank you for blessing us with another Fire Friday. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Caroline.
Bye.
Bye.